Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing well today. Welcome back to our fourth show of Storybook Musical Theater Behind the Curtains, this time with Aladdin. It is your chance to get a little bit of a behind-the-scenes view of what goes on at Storybook Musical Theater. We do have three other shows, like I said. We have one with the Wizard of Oz cast, one with Adventures in Toyland, and one with Princess and the Pea that you can find on our Facebook page and YouTube. If you like, you can go ahead and watch that. During the show, ask the actors anything that you want to know. Comment, ask questions. We'll get back to you about that. And if you like what you see, please donate to Storybook at paypal.me/storybook396. We'd love to hear from you. And kids, I hope you had a really good first week or two of school. I know it's going to be tough, but you'll get through this, and we're here to help you. We're here to give you a little reprieve for the weekend, so I hope you had a good time. Text us. Let us know. Comment. Let us know what's going on. So, let's bring on our Aladdin cast. We have a lot to talk about this week. So in order of kind of appearance, we all kind of came on at the same time, but in order of appearance, let's bring on our villain of the story, Uncle Mahajah, Mr. David Mulholland. Hello, David.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here.
And our Sultan of Aladdin, Mr. Dorien Belle. Hello,
Hi,
Dorien.
everyone. Hi.
And our beautiful love interest, Princess Sapphira, Miss Aileen Goldberg.
That's me.
That's you. And last but not least, our big, bold genie, boom, Mr. Chris McCollum.
Hello.
Oh, the genie of the knob stands for you.
Hi,
And
everyone.
last but certainly not least, our great understudy extraordinaire, other than myself, Mr. Achilles Inverso. Hello, Achilles.
Good morning. Good
Hello. Good morning, everybody. All right. So, Chris, you had a little bit of a technical difficulty last week with our Toyland episode.
Yes,
So,
for being a millennial, technology does not agree with me.
it's okay. So, but I wanted to ask you, since you didn't get to join us last week, did you have any fond memories or anything that you wanted to say about Toyland?
Oh, about Toyland? Toyland
Yeah.
was so much fun. I studied some clown work in theater in college, and I feel like doing Toyland was like the culmination of all that we just got to be literal clowns and literal toys. And the music, I mean, the music for Aladdin was so much fun, but the music for Toyland, I still think in the mind's eye that
Yes, it's beautiful.
that beautiful harmony part towards the end, just it's still a good motto whenever I'm feeling down. I can just say those lines, and even they're supposed to make a child, work their imagination. It makes a grown adult feel better about the world that we're living in, especially right now.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I loved it. Yeah.
Stella, thank you for coming back for our fourth one. You are the greatest. Thank you so much.
Hi, Della.
And Nancy, our wonderful musical director. Hi, Nancy.
Yay.
We miss you.
Yay.
We miss you so much. Hope you're doing well. All right. So, my favorite thing about Aladdin in general is the opening number. Just because it's kind of different than any other storybook show in that we just kind of open right off with a big number. There's no overture. There's nothing. You just kind of dive right into this wonderful world of Aladdin. And it introduces everybody and kind of their motives in one go. So do you guys, I don't know if anybody wants to talk about what it was kind of like for them just to go into that. Does anybody have any thoughts about the opening number anyway?
I think it was my favorite number in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Just because what you said, Rachel, that there were motifs for each character. Everyone had a moment to establish who they were, and then they all got pushed together with Nancy's incredible help teaching us.
Yeah.
all of that, and then enjoying every second of her playing under it. It was just that I loved. You were set to go from the moment the music started.
Boom. Yeah, those first chords, yeah.
I was
Dorien?
going to say the same thing, actually. I loved how it set the stories up, and how you were anticipating each character to come out when it was their turn, because they were already introduced in the opening. So you were expecting it, but you didn't know when it was going to happen. But yeah, I enjoyed that.
And I think it really brings on the feel of the show too, because we're supposed to be in this ambiguously Middle Eastern country, city, wherever we are, and the music really helps with that, as Kevin really was beautiful with that. A lot of Middle Eastern countries will only use certain notes of the scale, and he really brings that throughout the entire show, and really brings in that feel. So like I said, just from that first couple of chords, you're not in where you are anymore, you're in a distant land, and it's great, and that's what I love about the show.
I love the end counterpoint when it all came together. It was just a beautiful kind of mishmash. And you're right, everything in the show is very much in that kind of minor key, very common in like Jewish music and Middle Eastern music. So it all kind of has that Middle Eastern feel to it.
Yes.
And I think it speaks to how well it was written, that the fact that just a piano was able to completely transform the room into where we were going to be for the next,
Yes, and thank you, our esteemed director, for saying this. We left Kevin. It has been 23 years since his passing, but his music lives on. Yes, it was about 2 days ago, 23 years ago that he's passed on, but yes, his music still lives on, and it's beautiful still to this day, and we love it. Della, you asked a lovely question. How do you do the magic carpet? We don't. We don't have the technology nor the budget for that, but we do our own thing. It's still great. We still have a wonderful story without it.
There's other magic in the show.
There is other magic. You have to use your mindset. Yes, there is other magic in the show. So one of the greatest things about performing for the kids is that Storybook, we get these lovely letters back from kids, and I just so happen to have a couple here that I want to read out. I know, right? So for those of you who can't read it, it says, I really enjoyed Aladdin. I really liked the Genie because the Genie was funny, and Aileen Goldberg was funny because she was sassy, and Faith Sherman was funny. Yes. So Faith Sherman can't be here because she's working. And our lovely Aladdin Ben is missing it because he is actually rehearsing for the Philly Fringe Festival. So we miss them both. We wish they were here. And our second letter. Dear Storybook Musical Theater, I really enjoyed watching Aladdin. My favorite character was the Genie, Chris McCollum. My brain says basically all the characters were very good at acting. The songs were great, the actors and actresses were awesome, and I really liked the music, and it was great. By the way, the seats were very comfortable. David Mulholland drove me nuts with the evil acting, but I love to admit it is very good. Aileen Goldberg had a beautiful costume, and Faith Sherman was very good. Hold on, there's more to come. But it's a very good actor. Aladdin, Ben Bered, was especially good. Well, not good, but really great. Dorien Belle, the Sultan, was very good. I was wondering if you guys could tell me how the Genie made the fire sparks out of his hands. So, Genie, would you like? We shall go into the magic of Aladdin now. Genie, would you like to tell us? How did you get the fire sparks out of your hand?
If a child was to have asked me after the show, I would say a genie is magical.
That's true.
Full stop. But,
we're going to spoil some stuff, kids. Sorry, kids, we're going to spoil some things.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alerts. Magic.
I had on my left wrist, I had a pyro flamethrower that had 2 barrels that I had to load each time. and I could shoot one off, or I could shoot both off at the same time. And I remember when we met up at Pat and Mark's house for our first rehearsal, and they brought out this thing that I was going to get to wear, and we got to go outside and shoot it. I instantly became a 10-year-old. It was like, oh, fire! I couldn't have been more happy that a BFA program brought me to this moment. But it was really cool. Like I had to make sure that it was loaded with the lighter paper and I think it was cotton. It was doused in a little bit of alcohol. The one thing that I was constantly nervous about was once I turned it on, I had to make sure that little button didn't get pushed because it would go off. And for those that saw the show, when Aladdin went into the cave, I was on the set that he's hiding, as best a 6'4" person can. And I remember my hand was like crouched down while I was bending down, and I just remember the whole time, don't move that button, don't move that button. Or anytime I was near Ben or Achilles, I was like, make sure this hand stays over here, because if I pull a Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial, it's not going to end well for anyone.
And they were hidden underneath your like little cuffs that you had.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I had gold bracelets that hid it. So it was see the kids like light up because they were seeing magic. Was it's like what Peter Pan getting to fly in an audience. The kids are witnessing what they believe is literal magic, and that's the whole point of it, right?
That is the whole point. That's
my
right.
favorite was the 1 or 2 times that it didn't work. And like did your weird like poof thing, but then nothing happened, and you were like, as you wish.
Well, thankfully, there's lighting that goes along with it. So like the lights like blinked. So like if
I
you
definitely remember the couple of times that I had to. Yeah, I definitely were like.
It worked.
Got that right?
Acting.
So David, you had a couple of magic tricks as well, because you are a magical con artist, sorcerer, magician. I don't know what Uncle Mahajah is. He's something.
And I am the worst human being at magic in the world.
But
I've had a flamethrower thing that I had to use. I dread, not in this show, but I dreaded every moment leading up to it. So all I did was prepare ad-libs for when it didn't work.
So I'm going to just play a short little clip of your lovely song, Uncle Mahajah, that kind of explains you're trying to con Aladdin into coming to join you. So let's show a little bit of the clip.
It's perfect, you see. You come live with me, your only existing kid. To fill the sea of wonders of the earth, to fill the travel afar, to fill our merger and maximize our worth. A blessing is what you are, a shooting star, my favorite song. He's the friendly Sultan. Mahajah and the goodly Sultan. I share your sadness, your loss of dadness. Uncle Mahajah, lend to his support. Uncle come to my home and have your gravestone. Oh, Uncle Mahajah, search for everywhere. Uncle
God. Oh, That purse that I had to steal was the torment of my life.
Yes. I know we had to specifically put it right at like the hip so you could go around and not
find it and not look inappropriate as I search for it, and then steal it and make it obvious. I think once or twice I missed it.
You missed, yeah.
And I literally grabbed Ben and spun him without knowing it was coming, so that as he whipped around past me, I could snatch the purse off his belt.
I do
He just had wide eyes staring at me like, "Why did you do that?"
Oh, our director says he is a magician. Thank you for clarifying that. But there's also in that same scene, there's the mouth coil trick. So for those, yes, the bane of the Aladdin's existence, because it was super annoying. Basically, what happens is there's a little packed up mouth coil thing about this big that you have to shove into your mouth, but not get it too wet or else it won't work. And there's a little piece at the end that is hanging out. You stick it in your mouth, hold it there, not showing that you have it in your mouth, and David will come up and kind of be like, "Oh, look, there's lots of paper coming out of your mouth," and it's poof, magic. But yes, Achilles, I don't know if you had as much trouble as I did when I was in the role for a day.
I remember one performance where it ripped about halfway through. So that was interesting to be like, I don't know how I'm supposed to get this out of my mouth.
Fine.
Just not being yanked.
Yeah.
I think I demanded a Heimlich from you, and you did it into my hand.
Something like that.
Yeah, that one was a little wet, and if you start to pull it out, it would snap, and then you get a little more, and then it would snap, and it was such a great moment because the kids loved this like 15 feet of rainbow-colored paper coming out. But when it kept snapping, and it was a great chance to ad-lib for like the whole 15 feet. Unless it's not.
It does feel weird too.
It feels
it's such a strange, because it's like sort of like tickling the roof of your mouth.
I think that was the thing I was most afraid of messing up, other than the whole cave scene. Was just not being able to do that trick. Wayne says hello. Sure do miss Storybook Musical Theater. Thank you for keeping the arts alive. Sending warm wishes from Florida. Oh, thanks for joining us from Florida. Florida. So not only are there tricks with, fire and the magical coil, there's also lots of fog machines in this show that we use. I think there's at least 2 that sometimes go on, sometimes don't. And speaking of your first appearance, Genie, you're hiding behind the trunk with the little blanket underneath you. And then when you're supposed to pop up, we put off a flash box, as they like to call it in the theater world. And basically what that is, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's a little bit of gunpowder with like a little bit of flash paper in there. And once you press the button, it just goes poof. And it makes a really big flash that you don't want to be around at all. And all the kids get like stunned, and that's why you could make your little hop up onto the trunk and be like, "Ha ha! I was here the whole time." Did you have to go through any yoga to go from that position? Because you were like crouching behind that trunk and then had to pop up in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, thankfully I do have a dancer background and did some Bikram in college, so my Padahastasana, Padukkatasana really did come into play. I remember because I was behind that trunk for
it's a long time,
a good chunk for all of David's song while they were out in the audience going around, and it was it was fine, it was comfortable, it wasn't. But it was dark, it was at the sheet over me, and that instant of like going from only being completely in the dark to going, oh, there's lights all in front of me, and there were a couple of times I would jump off the box like, oh no, I overshot it, because it was like a second of jarring light, like, oh yeah, people are scared. but it was such a cool moment. And again, the kids will believe that magic, and I eat that up so much. You know, that's why doing children's theater is so fun, because their minds will just go anywhere you really want them to go.
Thank you, technical person. Flashbox is flash power and a tripwire. Thank you to our technical director watching. Eleanor, if you had 3 wishes from the genie, what would they be? Ooh.
Oh. Should we go around?
Yes. Sure. Who has an answer?
So are we limited in the way that, like,
yes.
the Disney
So you can't bring back the dead. You can't make anybody fall in love with you. And I don't know.
No infinite wishes.
No infinite wishes.
Well,
Thank you.
wishes.
Right?
So money, and no kidding. Anybody have an answer? Okay, Lise, I think you do.
So I would definitely wish for some sort of renewing riches, right? So not like
An endowment fund.
Yeah. Something self-sustaining that's, inflation and recession proof. That would definitely be in there. Probably, I would say, like a sense of security. I would probably have to clarify that wish in like a legal, so that if I say, for instance, wish for $1 million, I wouldn't end up with 1 million deer, But it's and then I would say just the instant travel ability, because I love to travel, but I hate the getting there. I like the being there.
All right, Chris, I'm gonna come to the genie next. If you could get 3 wishes from the genie yourself,
my freedom.
Done.
Done. That's all I wanted. I don't know.
No, this is such a tough one.
I'd wanna be able to go on to perform in any Broadway show I wanted.
Love it.
End a real vaccine to COVID.
Done.
And on demand cute pets.
Oh, love it.
I love it.
All right, Aileen.
I'm gonna give the same answers I give all the time. I will sound like a beauty pageant.
World peace.
World peace. I'm such a Hufflepuff, guys.
Yes, you are.
World peace, cures for all diseases, and to be a Broadway star.
Beautiful. All right, wonderful. Dorien.
Oh man, well, she definitely took my world peace.
Well, you
can be a beauty contestant
for world peace.
But definitely that. I mean, with her, I would definitely go with that. And money and riches, of course. I would love to produce my own shows someday, eventually. So I would love endless funds to be able to do that, and just be able to enlighten people through the live art of theater. I don't really have a second wish. Or a third wish.
That's okay. David, what about you?
I would love to be able to fly.
Nice.
Just push off and be able to fly. I think it would be the coolest thing in the world. Time travel. To be able to go mostly back, but who knows what the future's going to hold. But mostly be able to travel back to times and experience them. And third, to be in one of Dorian's shows with an endless budget.
Beautiful. I love that.
We'll never want for anything.
Della just wants to meet her favorite storybook actors in person again. Oh, don't worry, we'll be coming back. We promise.
We all
at
do.
some
We all
point.
do.
And Eleanor says, "Oh, the Storybook board member wants massive donations for Storybook. That's great. Perhaps a grant that will sustain the theater for generations of children to come." Yes.
Donate to PayPal.me
Yes, there you go.
Storybook 396.
You mean that one? Yes, PayPal.me/Storybook 396. Donate our funds. Maybe Dorien will get to do something. I don't know. We'll see. You
I'm
never
sorry,
know.
did you say paypal.me/storybook396?
I did.
I
Yes,
think that's what you said, was paypal.me/storybook396.
that's correct.
Give us your money.
Yes. So going back to our magic, David, Mahaja got some more magical superpowers in the second act, right? You wish to become some sort of sorcerer, super powerful sorcerer. So during the second act, you had to force all of the other actors to come to you. Aileen and Dorien, do you want to kind of explain how you had to get pulled to Mahajah?
Acting.
Acting, yes.
So my biggest obstacle for that scene was I had to we had to emulate an earthquake of some
Yes.
sort, like we were being pulled to center stage, but I'm like 7 feet tall and I have to squeeze through the opening of a door. And I would hit my head a couple of times, and but that's just the pangs of being backstage and trying to add to the realism of the scene. But like it felt so ridiculous doing it, but the kids loved it, and Aileen, could you add?
It was like while moving forward. So like, not only were you in an earthquake, like, oh gosh, the ground is shaking. We were also like, like, I have to go this way too. It was not the most graceful I've ever been on stage.
What?
Not that I'm very graceful in general. But.
And Dorien, you also had to dance under control. How was that like?
That was pretty interesting. At first, I was a little nervous about what kind of dances to come up with because I didn't want to like stay stale with like the same one. But I wanted to like keep fresh, and so I would kind of like we'd be backstage, or like I would take some of you guys' suggestions on like what dances to do, and I would try and incorporate that. I would try and make it as funny and ridiculous as possible, and I'm glad the laughs they got the laughs. So.
I remember the kids always got a good laugh out of that.
Yes.
And I love watching you.
Yes, David got to mess with you during that.
Especially when it went, oh, Dad! And kids were like, oh, that's what I say when my dad dances, Goofy.
I relate.
Oh, if only we had the TikTok and like Fortnite dances back in the couple years ago, man. We could have been doing those.
Doing the floss.
Doing the dabbing.
They all look the same. They're all like one. They're
It's
all.
all
Yes.
the hand jive. Just do the hand jive.
They're-
Well, that's because a lot of people can't dance using their legs.
Exactly.
You can only muck around it.
Yes, our director says, yes, it is the I Dream of Genie music, yes. So you got to put all the flossing to the I Dream of Genie music.
That will be the next TikTok craze.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Storybook needs to come out with a TikTok of that.
Oh, gosh.
That was
that
I don't know
was
what
hilarious.
TikTok is.
Waiting to hear what music sometimes was under us based on what Nancy was going to do.
Oh, yeah.
So you could hear interesting little themes moving through from movies or shows, which was just great because your second ear was your third ear was actually always listening to hear what was going to happen from the keyboard.
So I also think with Aladdin, for those that don't know, this is one of our, I think, more technically difficult shows. Not only are there all the special effects that go on with the magic, there's lots of special effects with lighting, especially with that opening number again, with everybody was in their specific special. There's lots of cave could only be in like a certain thing of the stage, and it was very technically difficult with lighting. It was a very prop heavy show, even though a lot of the props didn't get used. If we look back at the marketplace scene again, let me see if I can get that back up. All the things off to your left in the marketplace had to be there to make it look like it was a marketplace. Never got touched, but if we had to move the sets, we took pictures of it to make sure that every single thing was put back exactly where it was. because it couldn't mess up with the actors moving around or anything. And a lot of it also was there to hide things. So it was there to hide entrances or exits, especially for the Genie. It was there to hide the fog machines a lot. And especially with the Cave of Wonders, the props in that were very specifically placed as well. Because with that trunk that Chris was hiding behind, had to make it look like it was full of treasures and everything, but then still be able to slam shut when he popped onto it. So all of the plates were screwed on, there were lots of things, and especially with the magic lamp, it had to be there. You had to sort of be able to see it, but we didn't want it to be like, hey, look, there's a magic lamp! It's right there! So just a lot of strategically placed set, yes. Set dressing, tons of set dressing, yes. So, very technically difficult thing. And
especially when our understudy extraordinaire was having to be said understudy extraordinaire.
Both of us.
Which one? Which one?
Both of us.
They're both extraordinary.
Both. And especially with the big scene change, as I like to call it, that Dorien, myself, and our lovely assistant Jen backstage had to do. That piece, that palace set, is also the Cave of Wonders set, is humongous and heavy. And there's a genie sitting on it while you're doing it.
Both humongous and heavy.
No, we didn't say that.
Light as a feather.
And we had to do it only in the dark, because Mahajah and Aladdin are traveling around the front of the stage. And, it was very, very, very heavy. It took 3 people to move that, yes.
And then properly lining it up.
And then properly lining up, because the lighting could only be, like I said, very specific. And we had to unplug and plug in that flash box in the dark. And, yeah.
And then the time the set rolled over my foot.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, sorry about that, Dorien.
That's okay. I have another foot.
Good. I'm glad it's still there. So there's a lot of things that go into live theater other than just the show. So, yeah, fun times. Technically difficult shows. All right. Nancy, I see your question. Don't worry. We will totally get to that. Don't you worry about that. That's coming. That's to come. So let's, again, we kind of discussed this a little bit, but this is the segment I like to call It's Live Theater, Kids. We had a lot of little mishaps that went on during this show. Would anybody, especially David, like to talk about the time that our power went out, like, halfway through during your scene? David, do you remember that?
I do. It was early in the show. It was actually before that Uncle Mahajah song that you mentioned. So it was me and Aladdin stage left. Faith Sherman as Yopeel is over stage right. And while I'm talking to Ben, I'm noticing areas of lights appearing around the stage. And thinking, okay, something's happening. And then we went into total darkness. I think I screamed something about an eclipse. Noticed a light came up stage right, so I put my arm around Ben, took him over to stage right, yanked Faith over toward us, so we were all in this pool of light, and then that light went out. It's like it was such a bizarre experience because lights would show up somewhere. And you have to decide, okay, how often can I travel to the weird places upstage and down? And then luckily with Dana Schmidt, our stage manager, and a great crew, they popped on a follow spot. And so we stayed very close to each other for the scene. And then I just kept thinking, okay, the song with all this movement that's far apart from each other is coming up. So while we're talking, my brain is also restaging the number. And just before we started, all the lights came back up. But it happened again later in the show. They started to disappear again, and then they go away completely. But what a treat. It's moments like that we love because it's pure theater. and you had to make it keep working. And the kids didn't know that there was a technical problem, that the computer went down. They just thought there was an eclipse for a minute, and beams of light were showing up.
You covered that.
I just remember being backstage in the dressing room that was right next to where all the cables junction into the cable box, and like every technician on the show pretty much just is like running in and out of the dressing room, unplugging and replugging cables, and no one knew what was happening. I was like, "What's going on?" They're like, "The lights are out."
But wait, it was more like, the lights are out.
Yeah, it was like, and I'm just back there like, good thing I'm not on for another 5 minutes. Good luck, guys.
Yes. Yeah, it's fun times. That was, I think, the closest that we've been to having to stop the show. I don't think we've ever stopped a storybook show, but that was like one of the closest that we've been to having to stop it.
Ridiculous.
To follow, yeah. So, like I said before, the fog machines just would decide to not poof every now and then. That they're very fickle. If you plug them in too early, they won't poof. If you plug them in too late, they won't poof. So you had to do it, especially at the right time. So those were always fun when you're like, Genie, come to me, and there's supposed to be a fog, and it's like,
I'm gonna act this.
My Peter.
So that 5th year of college, that's where it paid off.
That's right. And Dorien, like you were saying, you are a very, very tall person, and you conked your head a couple times on that set. And I loved when you had to also make entrances and exits from the center of the stage too, because you had to like take your Sultan's hat off and like kind of like pretend that look, I'm not here. You can't see me. You can't see this 7-foot tall guy in a purple dress. Thank you. Never stop a show. We will never stop a show. Very good. Achilles, have you ever had any moments that you've had any fun stage mishaps in your stage career?
Quite a number of them. A lot of times it wasn't having things to do with the lighting. It would be like the music would all go out. A lot of like track shows. That seemed to be like, for me, where the majority of mishaps were. I definitely had a couple of things where there were also like things that were supposed to fly in. They got stuck. Curtains were supposed to close, and they got stuck. But I personally feel like with the other actors that, that's part of the magic of live theater, is that, it really tests your ability to be present in the moment, right? So if these things happen, like how are you going to incorporate that into the story and make it believable to the audience? Now with kids, I do think it is a little bit easier to get them like, oh, wow, okay, great. Oh, well, we have somebody that's like tugging on the curtain and making it not close. Oh, we're gonna take care of that, guys. So, being able to roll with the punches is part of the job description.
Yes, definitely had that happen multiple times during not this past Wizard of Oz, but the Wizard of Oz before that, where the witch's castle totally got stuck on stage in the middle of Oz, and there I was being like, I can't get the curtain out of it, and I was like, Munchkin magic. I don't know. Our lovely director says that's why we use live music, because Nancy never fails us. That's right. We love Nancy. She is the best. Heart
And
her.
she's the best.
I know.
David.
She's just the best. Period.
Yeah.
She is the best. Period. There's nothing else that needs to be said. She's the best.
So, David, I also wanted to talk about your lovely cape in your lamps song that you had to deal with. So let's watch a little clip of lamps, and we'll discuss that.
What's that word? What's
Lamps. Yeah.
Lamps.
You there! You're training new lamps for old ones.
The older the better. Look at this shiny new lamp. Pretty, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All I asked for is one old discovered my joy. I found that I had a rare talent that very few people possess. I find when it comes down to one thing, I am truly blessed. I know lamps, yes I know lamps. Just take for example this thing about one top. I fixed it myself in my repair shop. I know lamps. Yes, I know lamps. If yours does not shine, you can trade it for mine. For its lamps, I know.
Oh, that cape and hood.
That cape. Would you like to explain the trouble behind that cape and hood, David, that you always had?
It was a huge chenille bedspread. It was dyed brown, was heavy, and keeping it in place on the shoulders. And the hood was big enough that it literally would drop down to here.
Because it had to go over your big pointy hat. Yes.
I loved it, but spinning with it, it didn't stop when the rest of me stopped. It would continue wrapping around. The hood would fall down. Figuring out where I was. Aileen would sometimes come over and like reach for it and pull it up a little bit, or like make a sound so I knew which direction she was in. It was torn, and the cord sometimes, if it slid off the back,
like this while you were trying to do something.
But it was a great costume.
I did spend half the time being like, "Oh, I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna fix your game."
But I'm going to try and help you.
Wait, was there a thing on the front?
Yeah, there was a
There
tie.
was a big, thick cord that I kept trying to find a way to keep pulled down. I would hang on to it sometimes, but just centrifugal force from spinning, it would pull back.
It would sit up here.
Oh.
But I loved that number, and it was so much fun playing with Aileen and tormenting her.
I just remember that it wasn't in that video, but there was a time right, you would always slam the lamps right before the "I love lamps," and it would just go slam, and Aileen would just,
It was great. It was a bag full of like actual lamps.
Yep.
And pots and pans. It would hit that floor so loud. On beat. And I would manage to find a way to drop it so it would hit right on the beat.
Yeah.
So Rachel, we only have 17 minutes left. We have to get to the interesting part.
What? We could go past an hour. It's fine. We went past an hour with the adventures in Toyland. I was going to get there. Don't you worry. But first, Aileen, I have to mention the Kala Abdullah joke.
Which I could never.
Which you could never get. So what happens is, for those that you don't know, in the first run of the show, so the first time we did it twice. So the first time I got to go on for Aileen twice. I think it was the last weekend. I got to go on as Sapphira. Look at me, aren't I?
You're so pretty.
You are.
So pretty.
So I got to go on. So I did get to do a couple of run-throughs. This was prepared, so I did get to do a couple run-throughs. Sapphira, and there's one line in the show where Aladdin's explaining that he's just become the Prince of Kala Abdullah, and yes, it is a Paula Abdullah joke for those of you who know Paula Abdullah.
It's funnier when you have to explain it.
Yes. So the next line I think that Sapphira says is, well, why are you dressed like a peasant and not a prince? Well, my lovely husband and I were going over the script as we were practicing, and he's like, oh, it's a Paula Abdul joke. You should do like straight up now tell me why you dress that way. And I was like, brilliant, let's add it in. So we added it in. And Aileen, would you like to explain what was going on in your mind?
I kept wanting to sing it. So I kept wanting to be like, straight up now tell me why do you want to have me? But it's like, it doesn't work when you're trying to jog it.
Yes, lovely husband, Jason.
Couldn't talk. So I kept being like, straight up, now tell me.
No.
Of course, that was a joke for the parents.
Yes, of course, it's a joke for the parents. Yes, of course. Uh-huh. So during one of the many run-throughs that I did it with a very straight face, like, straight up, now tell me, why are you dressed this way? And Aileen just goes, oh! That's what it's supposed to be like.
I just couldn't get it. I needed the line reading.
You need the line reading. Okay, so now we'll get into the big topic, the good stuff that everybody is waiting for. So I'm gonna explain a little bit, and then we'll get to Achilles. So what happened during the second round of the show? Ben was sick without telling us, basically, and after one of the shows, he had already gone to the doctors and was trying to figure out what was going on. And after one of the shows, I believe it was a Thursday, after a Thursday show, it was Thursday because I wasn't at work, he gives a call to our lovely director, Pat, and says, hey, I just got a call from my doctor, and I'm going to have to go into the hospital for a little bit. I don't know how long it's going to be. Just wanted to let you know. Great. At that point, we didn't have any understudies except for me. And I didn't think I was going to have to go on for any of the guys. I don't usually have to go on. It's just kind of there. It's fun times. And so, of course, Pat calls me and calls Aileen and goes, hey, who do you know that could go on for Aladdin in less than 24 hours? And we're like,
And this was me.
So we literally are texting everybody we know, calling everybody we know. Of course, wishing Ben health and everything. And during this, we didn't want him to do anything that he couldn't do. So luckily, we were able to find Achilles, and he was willing enough to go on for us in, I think, 48 hours. But what happened is, since he didn't really know the show, we had rehearsal that night. So we learned this out at about 2 in the afternoon, maybe a little bit before that, and found Achilles within the next couple of hours. We had a rehearsal that night with me, Achilles, and Nancy, our lovely director, going over all of the music, because we figured out, well, Achilles isn't going to be able to go on tomorrow. So Rachel, you know the show. You just went on as Sapphira. You're going to have to go on. And I went, great, this is wonderful. And as you can tell, I am not the most boyish of people. So,
you're related.
And as you can know, Aileen and I are sisters. So that was a little interesting. But, you know, kids don't know any better.
For the children at home, this is what we call willing suspicion of disbelief.
Yes. So we had a rehearsal that night, and I went on the next day.
You did.
I did.
You did great.
I did great. I was a bunch of nerves, and thankfully David and Chris just kind of dragged me around the stage for the most part. Aileen and I had to cut the lovely love song.
So we both wouldn't be singing up here?
Yes, the lovely love song that Ben and you had, because it just didn't fit in my key, because I would be singing it as a girl.
I can feel there's magic in the air.
And so we just had a lovely walk around the table.
So awkward.
And we made it work. I had a little bit of a brain fart, as they like to call it, at the end of the show. I had all the rest of the lines. I really made sure I got the cave scene down, because David knows it's one of the hardest scenes, because it's just like the same thing kind of punctuated over and over and over again. So I made sure I had those lines. The last scene, I totally just went up in the air, and Dorien, as the Sultan, says something about, Coil, you have to make better friends or better choices in life. And I'm supposed to have this whole big paragraph about, yes, you should be a leader, not a follower, and more like that. I totally blanked. And Faith is staring at me, and I just go, yes, you should have better friends.
I was like, fair.
That's all I had, folks.
It worked.
And then Dorien and Face is staring at me like, and he's like, yeah, move along now.
We're good. Let's keep going.
Instead. So it was wonderful. After the show, I laughed about it. It was great. I had a good time. I can laugh about it now. During that time, I was not so much fun. But Nancy had
a fantastic job.
Thank you. I had my hair all up in a bun. I had to wear my glasses so that way I didn't look exactly like Aileen. But Nancy is asking Achilles, what was the experience of going on as Aladdin with only a few hours of learning the role? How was that like?
So I was contacted at about 4:00 on this Thursday that we are talking about by a mutual colleague of all of us. Her name is Sarah, and she says to me, are you free to possibly pick up a show? And I said, well, I guess it would depend on how quickly you need me to learn this show. And she said, well, ideally for tomorrow morning. So that 100% stopped me in my tracks. I said, well, I don't know that I could learn it for tomorrow, but I could definitely learn it for Saturday. So that was at 4:00. I talked to Pat, and she invited me up to a rehearsal. So at 5:30, I was sitting with Nancy, and we learned, all of the musical numbers. And then I just set to work with the script. And then Friday morning, I went to go see the show so that I would have an idea of, where Ben had been, moving across the stage. And interestingly enough, at the time I was doing a show, I was performing in Chicago, and I was also rehearsing another show, Guys and Dolls, with Dorien.
Yeah.
And so I had to essentially create the time in order to really get the dialogue, particularly the gay scene, which did not go as amazingly as I planned during my first time. And I, like Rachel, just allowed the other characters to sort of throw me around during that first run. It was very interesting 36 hours, I will say that, between finding about this opportunity and then actually getting to go on. Similarly to Rachel, I had lots and lots of nerves. And I remember 3 or 4 very specific instances in the show of I have no idea. I have no idea what the next thing is that I'm going to say. I remember the first time I did the duet with Aileen, I was totally lost the lyrics, 2/3 of the way through the number. But this is the magic of working with professional actors, is that they know the script as well as anybody, so they helped me out a lot. And by the time we came back for the next and last couple of runs for me, I felt way more comfortable having that extra 2 days off to really dive in and learn the material. Yeah.
You did great, though.
Yes. Thank you.
I thank my younger self for having some of those all-night cram sessions before a college test. Yeah, it saved me, I think.
Well, again, this was our second time doing the show, so everybody else in the cast was very, very familiar with the show at this time. So yes, they were thankfully all there.
Super props to Nancy.
Yes, super props to Nancy.
Yeah, she was like, this is going to be the easiest way for you to learn this material, and they learned it exactly like that.
Yes, Nancy is the greatest. We love her. I know. I skipped the moral of the show. I'm sorry. I just couldn't remember it. I'm sorry.
You just concised it. You just need better friends.
Better people, yeah.
Nancy says that you are my superhero. No. It's the other way around. You are our superhero. You're always our superhero. Yes, so that was a very stressful 24 for 48 hours, but we pulled it off.
The other thing I can say is, David, you said Lance was like your favorite number, one of your favorite numbers from the show. That was where I was like completely freaking out. I was literally walking back and forth in front of Dorien, citing lines, into that next scene, and not so good.
Well, it's a good thing it was a long number.
Right?
Yes, very long number. And I just remember, I know that I had the chance before the show that I went on, a couple of you guys came in a little bit early to kind of go over the staging and stuff. And I remember I was like, all right, I specifically have to do the cave because we shut the doors. So I was like, all right, I have to specifically figure out how to climb over this cave without knocking myself over and tripping and falling down the cave stairs. That was the one thing that I remember I specifically had to do. So one of our fans, Rachel, it's a good name.
Good name.
What is your favorite fairy tale besides Aladdin?
Ooh. Like our favorite show to do with Storybook?
No,
or
just
our favorite
just
fairy
in
tale?
general, your favorite fairy tale. Okay, at least do you have a...
So whenever I get this question, I always feel like people are putting like a Disney spin on it. So if we're going that route, Hunchback is my favorite story because you have an unconventional hero and heroine, and even though the sort of whitewashed Disney version, it's a love story where the gypsy ends up with the handsome prince, if you will, as opposed to the unconventional hero. I think that the not judging people by their appearance is really one of the better morals that Disney has, put forth.
Yes. All right.
But in terms of like general fairy tales, I like Sleeping Beauty because it's like kind of creepy if you go back to the origin of it. But the whole idea of inclusion versus exclusion and how marginalized people can then become violent. Maybe it's a better idea that we try and be a little bit more inclusive as a society.
All right, Chris, it's coming to you.
Smarter than asking what your favorite musical is.
All right, I'll skip you for a second. Aileen.
Okay.
Oh, God. I think as a kid, I really liked Little Red because
our storybooks.
Yeah, it was Storybook's first original kids musical that our mom wrote. So I think she enjoyed reading that to us. As for, if we're going with Disney fairy tales, Beauty and the Beast is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Disney. And I've also enjoyed performing in the Disney version and our version because I got to be silly and stupid in both of them. I also really like doing Storybook Cinderella as one of the stepsisters, but the real story is actually really awful, and they cut off toes and heels, and it's not child friendly. It's really awful.
All right, Dorien, I'm coming to you.
I was actually going to say Beauty and the Beast too. I've actually played the Beast in the Disney version, but I just love the timeless tale about it. It's a story of of not judging a book by its cover, and first impressions and how we perceive people, and there's a valuable lesson in that. And I just like the human nature behind the story. It's timeless, and it kind of prevails into today's time as well in certain instances. So that's one of my favorites.
All right, David.
Probably Pinocchio. I loved Pinocchio when I was a kid. I think that whether it was the father-son relationship with him and Geppetto, and him wanting to be a real boy and then getting lost out in the world and finding his way, and I don't know. I think that's the one that I liked the most as a kid, and I loved Sleeping Beauty too.
Chris, do you have an answer now?
Yeah, I was going to say Beauty and the Beast as well. I've got to see a bunch of different versions of the story. The children's theater that I toured with in Montana has a really fun Western spin on it, and it's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, as a tale as old as time, it can also be however you want to tell it.
Well, Chris, I would like you to kind of close out the event here. Can you sing to us Aladdin's and to the rest of the world here? Can you sing for us a little bit as the genie?
I'd love to. I love singing this song, and I remember Nancy being very excited that the reprise, I was able to find an optional note that she was excited to do. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this up, and if it doesn't, if you can't hear it, if you can't hear the music, we'll try to. So this song is right when Aladdin has rubbed the magic lamp that he found in the cave, and out pops me. And this is called Make a Wish. Well, hold on one sec. I thought these were turned off. Okay, we'll go try this again. Okay. Behold, the great, all-powerful genie of the lamp stands before thee. Make a wish, Aladdin. Make a wish, Aladdin. Make a wish, Aladdin, anything you please. All you ever wanted, I'll instantly appease. Make a wish, Aladdin, do anything you like. Think about the future and never looking back. You could wish for riches, or wish for fame, or wish for being right. You could wish for evil, or change your name. It depends what you feel deep inside. Make a wish, Aladdin, do it while you can. Soon before you know it, you'll be an older man. Time is fleet, Aladdin, passing day to day. Wish and I will grant you whatever you can say. You could wish that you are a fabled knight, or sail away on the sea. You could wish for darkness, or wish for light. For myself, I would wish to be free. Make a wish, Aladdin, think it through, but quick. I'm your faithful servant, this isn't any trick. Make a wish, Aladdin, all you have to do. Soon as you can wish it, I'll make your dream come true. I'll make your wish come true.
Round of applause. Seal of approval.
If you like what you heard there, please donate to paypal.me/storybook396.
Wait, what did you say? Did you say paypal.me/storybook396?
Yeah, I think you said paypal.me/storybook396.
That's pretty much what I heard. PayPal me Storybook 396.
Rachel's giving you the applause. Della, I don't want this to be over either. I know, I'm sorry. I don't want it to be over, but we have to all go.
Rachel, do you have one of your infamous questions for us before we leave?
I do have one of my infamous would you rather questions. Thank you for asking, Aileen. Now, David, because you have played both Mahaja and at one point in Storybook's life you played the Wizard of Oz. My would you rather question is, would you rather have your future told by an evil sorcerer or a traveling salesman who may be able to see into the future?
Oh, give me the evil magician Kanya any day. Because I know the adventures are going to be a lot wilder and a lot more fun.
That's true. It's true. Anybody else have an answer? Aileen's like, neither.
I guess I would go for the evil magician, because the salesman's gonna try to sell you something at the end of that.
It's true.
I don't know. That's an awful. I have not had good experiences on stage with either. So. I don't know.
Anybody else want to give them their 2 cents?
Well, the evil magician would at least be magical.
That's true.
So at least you've got a fighting chance of having the future be correct.
I don't know. Wizard of Oz was the salesman was very, very like gentle and told her what she needed to hear in order to get her
Only after there was a twister coming.
I just feel like my chaotic neutral side pairs best with guaranteed.
Thank you, Rachel. That is a very good. I feel like the evil magician would probably trick you. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he would. I don't know. Anyway, well, Nancy says, "Well done, everyone." Thank you.
Nancy.
All right. Well, I'm going to close this off a little bit differently. We're going to be taking a couple of weeks off here at the Behind the Curtain thing. But we want you, our audience, to get to choose what our next cast is. So you have a choice between we can do our Pinocchio cast, our Cinderella cast, or our Elsa and the Shoemaker cast. David gets to be in 2 of those. So choose wisely.
So if you want to see David.
If you want to see David again.
If you don't, pick the other one.
If you don't, pick Cinderella. So choose. Write in the comments below if you watch this after we're live. That's cool. Write in the comments below.
We'll post it on Facebook.
We'll post a poll on Facebook too. Don't you worry. We're going to do that. So you get to decide. Again, Cinderella, Elsa and the Shoemaker, Pinocchio. And we'll do that one next. So, again, thank you for joining us at our Behind the Curtains. Find any of our past ones at our YouTube page or on Facebook. Dorien just did a great reading of this Aladdin version over at our YouTube page on our Storytime with Storybook. So if you want to learn a little bit more about this Aladdin that we just talked about for an hour, go to our YouTube page and find the Storytime with Storybook.
David did a good one
David did a good one too about Jack and the Beanstalk.
And I did the first longest rambling one about Rumpelstiltskin.
Don't watch one. And I did one about Frog Prince. So, so I'm just going to end it here with this beautiful pose of everybody.
Aww.
And I want to thank you. And again, for all of our kids, have a happy, safe rest of your school year. We'll be here to help you out a little bit, okay?
And for more help, you can also go to paypal.me.
That too. So, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.